Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday, and it is June 15th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and I thought I'd show you this daily chart first. This is the updated daily chart looking at the September contract. It looks fairly similar, but it's a little bit different than the other one was. Actually, I think I've got this wrong. I think this should be like that right there. And remember, we had the breakout the top originally, then the breakout the lower side, higher or low. We worked up, we found that resistance, we pushed through, and we pulled back, and we tested it twice as I showed you previously, and then we've taken off upwards from there. And so that double test would have been a great place to enter along on the daily chart. Now it looks like it's trying to pull back here again. I'm not sure if there's a close outside there. Probably not. It's probably more like that. And there could be another trend starting from right here. It would still be very similar to that. So I think this is right. We need to really get a little more price action in there to know if this two-tier channel working up is going to hold or be the right look at this. But we still got plenty of room to go to the upside. You can see we turned down off that green band, but we're kind of stuck between that green band and the trend line there working higher. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you a look at that so you can kind of get an idea. It looks like we're going higher here. We may come back again and test this, but to me it looks like we're going higher from here. So we'll just have to see. But I thought it'd be interesting to show you that. It looks very similar, but it's a slightly different look. I mean, it's the same channel, and then we had the same breakouts and so forth. But it does look just a little bit different on the September contract versus the way it did on the daily for the June contract. So let's go over and take a look at the other. Okay, here's our chart for today, and it was all downhill early, and then we found our bottom here, reversed, and went higher. You can see the blue channel, we had a break and a couple of legs down to a new low, and then inside that, those two legs down was a new channel, and we had a break and new low of it, and then we reversed into the green, yellow channel, and that pretty much is still playing out. We really just kind of went sideways from there, but you can clearly see that green channel working up there. We never really got this trend line confirmed. However, that looks fairly accurate to me. It didn't matter. You could have played the shorter term stuff and done just as well. Probably should have played the shorter term stuff actually. So, but anyway, we had a nice trend down here on these two channels, and there's some good setups here. It got a little tricky in here. It was real slow and methodical, and it was not coming back to the trend line. And so we really never got this trend line confirmed until we had a break here. So it made it a little tough from here down to trade. Of course, we had a nice setup here that was a trap and a second entry short, so that one was not too difficult to find, but it was really hard to find a trade from about 9:20 on for that reason. And then we didn't get a really good reversal. This is a reversal here. I didn't mark it. It's a possibility. I'll go ahead and put a green one there just so I won't forget to talk about it. And otherwise, we didn't get but a couple trades late in the afternoon. So it was really, really slow from, let's just say, 10:30 to 1 o'clock. And then there was only one trade after that. So the afternoon was not very good. But early on downtrend, fairly decent day and fairly easy to find those trades. So let's back out here or zoom in here and talk about these trades. And you can see we had this one working down. We had a break. You didn't really get a chance to draw this blue one until really you had this swing right in here, these two swings. So you may not have had anything on this first one, but notice you're coming down here, you get your break, and you get a first entry, and then a second entry triggers right there. I mean, that's real obvious. You get your break, new high, and the second entry triggers. I like going short there. If you go short there, you easily catch a runner. 7 o'clock actually came right in here as we're working up. And then we dropped down and we just kind of went sideways here, but we come back to the top here and you get a chance to go short off this range, but it also confirms that blue trend line right there. And you actually get a first entry, second entry, and it's not a failure till it breaks lower right there. So it's a failed second entry long, even though there's actually a third entry there. It's not a failure till here, and the second entry has already long is already triggered. So it doesn't matter that it made a lower high here in between. It's still a failure when it breaks lower right there. So that is a chance to get short off of the key entry point. And you have both the trend channel or the trend line and the range resistance right there. So you got the EMA too. So you got a confluence of 3 different resistance areas right there. So that's a fairly strong trade. It is a second entry if you count off the lows as well, first entry, second entry. But in that tight stuff, you don't really care much about second entries. They'll just trip you up. So the fact that on the bigger picture it's a failure, and you're playing the range rules and the trend line rules combined, and you're getting in with the trend, and that turns out to be a really nice move before it's over. So it took it a little bit to get going, but you would have had a runner there again. And I would look for a measured move. Here's your measured move here for this first leg, and notice you got a little two-legged correction. And that's exactly where we bounced out a few times before we continued lower. And of course you got this next leg, and that would be this one. And again, you got a little two-legged correction in there. And that gives you this next target to the tick. Notice we broke a little lower, but we continue to kind of stay above that before finally pushing down one last time. But anyway, I like that trade. Runs on down. You get a quick correction here. There's actually a hidden second entry in there, but notice there's also a first entry and then second entry. So you could look at that as a failed second entry again. And there's actually a hidden second entry in there. And that's the first break of the blue channel right at the EMA. Nice signal bar. You might wait on the lower high, which comes here. And then I'm not as crazy about it because it's right into that support there. And it's an inside bar. It does make matching highs. So if you really wanted to be a little aggressive, you could go short right there. And of course you get another failed second entry long here because this swing is higher than this one. So notice first entry, and then you make the second leg down and get a second entry long. And nice bearish bar, but you're going short right into the lows and right at the low of the day, and you've already had a measured move there. So I'm a little hesitant with that one. Here you might have a little bit of room. It's doubtful you could have even got in this trade because it gaps over. It does come back here, so you could have got in here. But by that time, there's a lot of support there, although you are getting to go short below that. So, and you do have this leg down, so you might get another measured leg, which you do. So, but notice it comes back and tests that breakout once. It comes back and tests it again. And once again, you've got a first entry and a second entry. Actually, I'll take that back. There's 2 legs back there, but this is a lower high, so it's only a first entry. Your second entry is right here. So you get another second entry short, fairly nice signal bar. It does confirm that trend line. So I like going short there, and you can see quickly it runs down and gives you a nice move. And then, of course, you don't want to go short or long in this stuff. We're still looking for shorts, really. It does drop on down here, and if you measure this, you can see your measured move is right there at those lows. So nice. You could have just used the measured move on that. We do end up dropping on down. And again, this is probably best just left alone right down through here until finally you come back and you can make a new low there. You get a first entry and then a second entry right here. And the thing is, it makes that high and then tries to go higher again and makes a lower high. So you got a little bit of a trap there too. It looks a little congestive, but with that little break higher, it's probably going to trap people, and you can tell it did by how quick it moves down. Drops to a new low, but notice you had your break of your green channel, moves to a new low, and then we bounce here. And I was really hoping for a nice reversal pattern here, but we just didn't get it. You get a failure right here, and the reason it couldn't get back to the EMA was because of the trend line. But if by the time this breaks lower and you go higher, you don't have much room back to those highs, and you can see it had to work all the way back across and then work higher again. So I just didn't like that one. If you took it, it works, and it is a failure, but it's not an ideal reversal. You want to see that thing set up off the EMA with plenty of room to get out. You don't have to have room back to the high because it's going to act as a trap, but you don't want it to be going long into any kind of overhead strong resistance or a trend channel line like this or whatever. So hope that's clear. And notice we just continue to work up. We turn back down right here. We're so far away from the EMA, no surprise that we came back. And you make a couple of legs down, but more than anything, you got this two-tiered channel. You get a close outside. It takes it a few minutes before it goes low. You actually get a second entry short right here. I didn't mark this one because it's very congestive there, but you could look at this as a failed breakout and a second entry short. So you may take that. The problem here is that it's just a little bit hard to know what prices are doing here because we made this big move up, then we came back down. Look how flat the EMA is getting. We're kind of on both sides here. This could easily break lower and turn up. And again, I thought we may get a failed second entry short there, but we didn't. It actually makes two legs down. There's a little hidden second entry, but again, I don't think you want to go long there either. There is a higher low here, but I would wait on the true reversal, which comes right here. It breaks lower, turns, and goes out the other side. I liked going long there. You could have gone long there, but it actually, you could have waited on this bar and gone long here. The true reversal's right here, and I actually traded this one, so I remember how this worked. This one set up. It broke lower first, turned, and went out the other side. And of course, the ideal trade is to buy on a, enter on a buy stop right there. But it did back up, and it kind of started over again here. But turns out to be a nice trade. So technically, you probably want to enter right here. And because this did enter on a, let me explain this one because you can see it actually ticked a little bit, one tick lower. The thing was, this was the low, and because it was an engulfing bar until it closed, you had to have your safety stop one tick below this bar. And once this closed, then you would move it up. And so then that gives you this bar too, because they all match in lows, and that closes really strong. So if you didn't enter the way I described it first, you could enter over here. But just remember, if you did enter, and I don't recommend most traders enter on a engulfing bar, because sometimes it'll do just what it did here, and it won't go higher, it'll go lower. So you really need to be a pretty good chart reader to trade these engulfing bars. You probably would have been better off to wait, and that would have had you entering here. Didn't matter, the momentum didn't really start to this bar. This was turned out to be a little bit early, but that's where the true reversal happened, or failure happened, was one tick above that bar. And that's the way I played it. So because this was an engulfing bar, I had my stop down here until this bar closed, and then it was the swing high, and I moved it up to one tick below that. You don't normally move it, but when it's an engulfing bar, the only it's still forming. So until it closes, you don't know where the swing low is. And so you have to go below the previous one, which is down here. So I hope that makes sense. And off it goes. It turns out to be a really good move. Then you get 2 legs back and a second entry long. Normally I'd tell you you wouldn't want to take this, and it's still a little bit congested, but notice the low right there, and you try to go short once, twice, so it looks like a failed second entry short, and it's also a first entry, second entry long right there, and that's a nice bullish bar, and so I like taking that one. Come to find out, that's just a 2-legged correction between the 2 legs. I didn't measure them, but let's just see how close they are. Leg 1, leg 2. So it went a little further. And that's technically a little 2-legged correction right there with a hidden second entry in there before we moved down and made 2 more legs down. So that's what I saw today. I don't think you want to go short here. The trend is up now, so no shorts right in there. But it got a little tricky later in the afternoon, but this was really straightforward, except for this little spot right in there. Just no real setups in there, nothing that is too congestive, and you're just kind of stuck first in this little tight range or congestion, and then we just moved an equal distance down and continue to stay in congestion, and there's just no setups there until you get the short, and you're looking for shorts anyway. So so I like this morning, pretty straightforward. It looked like when I first came in this morning we were going to have a really slow day because this was all you had up until about 7 o'clock right in here. I mean, they're just from 7 o'clock to 8:30. That's all we printed right there. But it picked on up, turned out to be a pretty decent day before it was over. Hope you had a good trading day. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow, but I'm going to finish up for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.